So we have been receiving advice from a large number of economists and interested groups, and that's, of course, appropriate, and we value hearing the opinions of many different groups and individuals with different perspectives. But look, at the end of the day, it's the committee's job to come together to analyze the data that we have on the economy, to decide how it affects the outlook, and to try to deliberate and arrive at a committee judgment about the appropriate path of policy. And that's what we did today. As I said, although we're close to many participants and the median estimate of the longer run normal rate of unemployment, at least my own judgment, and this has been true for a long time, is that there are additional margins of slack, particularly relating to very high levels of part-time involuntary employment and labor force participation that suggests that, at least to some extent, the standard unemployment rate understates the degree of slack in the labor market. But we are getting closer. The labor market has improved. And as I've said in the past, we don't want to wait until we've fully met both of our objectives to begin the process of tightening policy, given the lags in the operation of monetary policy.
Thank you. Kate Davidson from the Wall Street Journal. Madam Chair, do you think over the past 2 months since your last meeting that you've gotten closer to or further away from the Fed's inflation goals? And then separately, you've received a congressional subpoena relating to the disclosure of information from the Fed's September 2012 policy meeting. Are you any closer to complying with that? Have you turned over any new information to Congress?
So your first question was, have we come closer or move further away from our inflation goal? So we've used the same language, which is that we expect to achieve our 2% goal over the medium term. And I would say, although as we say in our statement, recent developments seem likely to put some downward pressure. We're, after all, way below our inflation target. But an important reason for that is that declines in import prices reflecting the appreciation of the dollar and declines in energy prices are holding down inflation well below our target and well below core inflation. We expect those effects to be transitory, and with well-anchored inflation expectations, we expect inflation to move back to 2%. Now, in the intermeeting period, we have seen some further appreciation of the dollar and some further downward pressure on energy prices. And that creates a bit of further drag on inflation that I would view as transitory, as very likely to be transitory. So I continue, and the committee continues to expect that inflation will move back to 2%. So this should be a small thing. And in the meantime, the labor market has continued to improve. So a tighter labor market, a labor market moving toward full employment, is one that historically has generated upward pressure on inflation. So that bolsters my confidence in inflation. On the other hand, we've had a long period in which inflation has been running below our objective. I consider it, and the committee does, very important that we achieve our inflation objective and defend against inflation that is persistently above our inflation objective and also persistently below our inflation objective. And we want to have not only an expectation but a good degree of confidence that that will occur. We did take note in the statement of a decline in inflation compensation. And it's hard to get a direct read on inflation expectations out of these measures. They can be pushed down by factors pertaining to liquidity in the Treasury and the TIPS market and other issues pertaining to risk premia. But we have taken note of that, and I would say that that's something that has caught our attention and is a factor that we're watching. So we'd like to have a little bit more confidence, but I would not interpret developments during the intermeeting period as significantly undermining confidence. And the labor market is really important, that as it continues to improve, it has, and we want to see it improve further. That serves to bolster confidence.